Hey everyone, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up about this week's episode. There were some technical difficulties. One of the audio tracks for my guests just stopped after 23 minutes. I was able to edit around it, but if things feel a little bit cut together, let's say stitched together, I would say like a Frankenstein, but given the content of this episode, let's say like a Sally, it is because I pieced this episode back together with the information I had, as well as with the extra recording that I asked the guest to do. Hopefully you won't notice, but if you do, that's what happened. And for everyone who's getting started in podcasts, remember, always record a backup, because sometimes it even happens to the backup. And now, enjoy Nightmare Before Christmas. In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. We have two guests for this week's episode because he requested us. By name.
Lock.
Shock.
And Barrel. And that is Bethany Koulias and Kim Vruggink. So, Kim and Bethany, is The Nightmare Before Christmas a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
Well,
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not a yes or no question, it's an either or question.
Okay, cool. I didn't know, if we had to do some critical thinking on why. So yes, it should be remade.
All right.
Yay.
Let's start with this. Kim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am recently getting into audio books. I want to get into a little bit of narration. I am an actor out here in LA and doing some improv with groundlings. Yeah, and kind of taking that over to audiobook narration because we are in a pandemic and audiobooks seem dope.
They are indeed dope. I am a fan.
So dope.
Bethany, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. Well, I am also in Los Angeles, and I am also an actor, and I am a associate company member of the Actors Gang, and, with COVID, theater is on hiatus for the foreseeable future, so I'm enjoying also doing voiceover, and also there's quite a few of, Zoom films and Zoom plays going on right now, so I've been doing a couple of those projects too. Other than that, my favorite color is red, and I have two kitties, and I'm a witch, and, Halloween is my jam.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
So, since this is the Halloween episode, and you are a couple of my oldest friends in Los Angeles, not oldest in terms of age, in terms of, oh God, I've wrecked everything already.
We are old, yeah.
Oh no. I met upon moving to Los Angeles, you were a couple of the people I met first.
Yep, I was your date at prom on Glee. Yes.
That is correct.
True.
So if you look at Glee prom, you will see us. Me in my white tails, and I think you in a pink dress?
I was lavender.
Lavender.
Yeah.
Well, time has shifted those hues in my brain.
Gosh, I can't believe
that's
that
cool.
was, 9 years ago? Over 9 years ago?
Is it?
Was it?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kim, I met you.
Private practice.
Yeah, on Valentine's Day in 2011. So yeah. So yeah, many years ago.
Many moons ago.
And Kim was at the table with us at Glee prom.
Yes.
So.
That's right. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where everything kind of solidified in terms of friendship, because I didn't meet you on Glee prom either, Bethany. We met on Suburgatory?
Oh, Suburgatory, yes.
Yeah.
We've done Suburgatory. That's true. Yes, with all the horses. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the strong smell of horses.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Suburgatory pilot, I think.
I don't remember. The reason why I thought it would be fun for all three of us to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas is because kind of a soft Halloween tradition had been getting together to watch Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And I've already remade Hocus Pocus, so it seemed like the next obvious thing that you both thought would be Nightmare Before Christmas, and I kind of agree.
Especially with, of course, all of the live action musicals being so popular on Fox and NBC and ABC really now, which is owned by Disney. So it seems only right that a musical that people have been trying to remake for a long time could conceivably be done in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas has been a stage play at this point, right?
It failed.
It failed like many of them, but
like a couple, So it has been, obviously, like, if they put some star power behind it in the next one, then it could probably, like, be done pretty well and put more money, because they didn't put hardly any money into the stage play. Yeah.
But in terms of our purposes today, because Disney is also doing a large number of live action remakes, Mulan's definitely a thing. We're remaking Nightmare Before Christmas as one of the Disney live action remakes. So we'll have a conversation about plot and different things that will need to be changed, but for the most part, we're taking the movie as it is and we're doing a remake. So, let me ask you this. Do either of you remember the first time you saw Nightmare Before Christmas?
So, with me, my mom, forbade me from seeing Nightmare Before Christmas when I think it was 4 when it came out. And I really wanted to see it so bad. And my dad was like, you can go see it. And so, I think I saw it with him when I was 4. And then I loved it so much. Yeah, they bought the VHS for me, which we played in our VCR multiple times. And funny story too, but my dad and his brothers grew up in Burbank, California, which is LA County for those who don't know, and they went to school with Tim Burton.
That is funny.
Yep. So they went to school with him. My Uncle Jim, the youngest brother, they were in the same grade. And he kept on telling me, growing up, that he would see Tim Burton play with dinosaurs in the hallway. And apparently the Edward Scissorhands, the town that is all the same and monochrome, is based off of Burbank.
Oh, wow.
So there's that, and everything now has come full circle. So that's me.
That's great. Kim, do you remember when you first saw this movie?
I think I was about 7 years old when I first saw it. I didn't see it in the movie theaters, but I remember when it first premiered on TV, my mom recorded it, and we had that old VHS tape. So I watched it, I fell in love with it, and for Halloween almost every year I've make a tradition out of it every Halloween to watch it, as crazy as that sounds.
It's not crazy at all.
How many times can this kid watch it after so many years, But I did, and I remember that old VHS too. So
Good. So my experience with watching this movie is I don't think I saw it until I was maybe in college, because I remember seeing the previews on TV. I remember the rolled up hill and then it unrolling as Jack walks down. And I remember watching this movie in college and being like, it's the moment, it's the thing from the previews I saw as a kid. And I feel like the possibility is that as a kid, I was worried that I would be freaked out by the movie, because my parents never let us watch horror movies or anything, because I The thing I remember is watching the opening of Jurassic Park where the dude gets sucked into the cage and being like freaked out. And, like, we never watched anything scary ever again, or even scary adjacent. So even to this day, I have a really, really hard time and cannot watch horror movies because I have no, like, basis in it. And so because Nightmare Before Christmas, even though it was animated, was just kind of slightly off, my parents were like, nope, that's not happening. And so I never watched it until, like, I had friends sit me down and be like, Sam, it's Nightmare Before Christmas, we're watching it. I mean, I have many movies that fit into that vein, but, like, this movie's adorable. It's one of those fun little things. It's got a bunch of great songs. I regularly get the Oogie Boogie song stuck in my head.
Oh, who doesn't? Yeah.
Generally in life. And, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had an interesting time rewatching it this year because I certainly noticed some things I may not have necessarily been conscious of when I was younger. But, I mean, it's still super fun and super sweet. And even though it was neither written nor directed by Tim Burton, definitely launched his career.
Not. Yep.
It is based on his children's book, and he's a producer on it.
Okay.
Yep, which is why he was able to slap his name on it.
Yes. But yeah, so that's kind of my experience. So having presumably rewatched the movie for recording this episode, what'd you both think this time? We'll start with Kim this time.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been in love with the music. The music is what most attracts me to it. I love the beats and the sounds that create the story in it. I think it's just genius. So I had a really great time rewatching it. So
Good. Bethany?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Kim. Yeah, I watched it every year. So pretty much as I've grown up over the years, like, you can tell how basic really the story is, but it's fun, it's for kids, and it's not meant to, like, really be poking a bunch of holes into it, in my experience, because, yeah, it's a vehicle for the amazing effects and the practicals and the music, as Kim said, and just to showcase that wonderful imagination for me, and to create some really strong characters.
Yeah, I think every time when I sit down, like every year, other year, when I sit down to rewatch this, I'm always surprised by how short it is, because it's only like 72 minutes.
yeah.
And it, like, we just kind of jump in and go. And even for musicals, 76. And even for musicals, that tends to be kind of short, because, like, songs lengthen. It's like, oh, I'm sad about something. And instead of just saying I'm sad about something, it's 2 to 3 minutes of, I'm sad about something. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm saying, like, even for a musical, it's on the short side. So, but this time, I ended up having the thought, and I know that this isn't a particularly fresh take, and especially because, like, I then, immediately after having watched this, like, over the next week or so on Twitter, I was like, here's several people confirming my take who also rewatched the movie. Interesting. Boy, this sure is a white guy who gets an idea in his head and doesn't listen to anyone who says it's a bad idea. And then barely admits he's wrong.
Yep.
And doesn't really learn a lesson. Other than, I'm still great. Because he's still Jack, the Pumpkin King.
Sounds familiar.
So then, with that in mind, because I think the epitome of Disney live-action remakes is the Jungle Book, in the sense that it takes the original ideas of the animated Jungle Book and takes its own spin on it and kind of modernizes the message. What are the messages and the things that are important to us? What do we think, like, the new moral of the story is, or the same moral of the story is, that we want for our version of this movie? Rewatching it, I know what you're saying about Jack Skellington. You know, he's kind of blinded and can't really see what other people need. But I also saw the innocent side of Jack Skellington, and I would kind of want to run with that, the innocent side of him, where he does learn who he is.
especially at the end. I think, he is remorseful. He sees the wrong that he's done. He sees the harm. How dare you treat my friend so shamefully? And he runs and tries to do what is right. So I think what I would want to explore is finding your true self, which Jack does, or realizing who he is. And, just kind of, he makes mistakes, he does, but just like every human does, they make mistakes, but you find out who you are. And to me, that was kind of a lesson, a meaning within this story.
I agree. My take on what this movie could be is somewhat inspired by a couple of text chains that I'm in with some friends. And that I think that Nightmare Before Christmas it could actually be a really interesting trans allegory, in that here is this person who kind of has been living life this certain way, but it just isn't bringing them joy. And it just, they aren't happy living this way. And then somehow they discover, oh, I could live this whole other kind of life. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is the life I do want to lead. And like tries to bring that back, and people don't really understand. So kind of like recontextualizing it, but just trying to find a way to live that way. And then at the end, when they get shot out of the sky, it's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go back to the box that everyone had put me in. And I'll go back to doing the thing I already know how to do. However, in our version, I mean, I don't not obviously hit it on the head as hard as that, but in our version, one of the things that I'd really like, especially because we have so much time, is I would love to see that act of apology and that trying to make things right and trying to find a joy in a new way of living. In that, I'd love to see Jack and Sally helping out in Christmas Town. Like, I'd love to see, like, instead of them just standing on the cliff at the end embracing, I'd love to see them helping making toys for Sandy Claus.
Yeah.
Like, because it's mostly just, well, that didn't work. Guess we're going to abandon this forever. And I don't think that works. I think that there's a little bit of, like, bleeding over of the holidays that could work. Like, I would love at the end if there's some elves making some truly horrific things in Halloween Town, and then in Christmas Town, Jack and Sandy are making toys and hanging up trees and lights and having a snowball fight.
That'd be great. I agree.
Because already in the film, I don't think things are very clear and clean cut at the end. I think there is a lot of that ambiguity. And so definitely that would be a perfect ending for me. Definitely what I was thinking of gearing towards. And yeah, you said it very well, Sam.
Thank you. The other thing I want to do is I want to give Sally a lot more to do, just because kind of in this movie, as it exists now, is her things are escaping and not being listened to.
Yeah.
And absolutely.
And then she tries to rescue Santa, but it doesn't work. So like, what do we want to give Sally to do that will work, other than being Cassandra? Is that the Greek figure who could foresee the truth, but no one listened to her?
Oh, Cassandra, yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just being a Cassandra.
True. Okay. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah. For some reason, I didn't make that connection, but that is very true. Yeah, she is a Cassandra. And again, that's a
because she has magic. Like this thing. Like it all told. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie, but it's kind of all science and science fiction based. There's really only 2 moments of true and actual magic in the whole movie. And it's when Santa touches his nose and magics up through the chute.
Yep.
And then the other one is when Sally picks up the whatever the weed is, it turns into a Christmas tree and then bursts into flames. So she's magic, and that never comes up again.
Yeah, and she was created by the scientist. Yeah. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
Because it's always been interesting to me that I feel like one of the things we can play is the parallels of Jack Skellington and Sally at the same time, both of them kind of rediscovering who they are. Because Sally is someone who's literally like made in a lab to be this thing, and she's like, I've never wanted to be that. And it's kind of like discovering, like, now that she's outside the lab, who she really is as a person. So like, True. I'm looking for other places in the story or other things that can happen that really are who she is. And my pitch is, so she kind of discovers that she has this magic, and I'd love it if she's kind of learning how to figure out how to use it, and she tries to use that against Oogie Boogie, and as much as she's trying, it just happens to not work, but it's still something that she's working on. It's something that, like, she wants to be better at, because she's like, this is something I'm really good at and I love doing.
Maybe I noticed, she falls down, she falls out of windows to escape from the scientist, and and then she has a needle and sews herself back together. So there's a little bit of self-healing power, and maybe she could expand that to other people in being a healer in a way.
I agree with that, and I think that if we do that, I think we need to make the evil scientist a little bit more of an antagonistic force. Because as of this moment, he's kind of like, oh, that wacky scientist, always trying to put this living and sentient human being that he created into house jail. And, like, we don't... Because the movie, as it exists now, does not really have a strong antagonistic force. It's like, ooh, Oogie Boogie. Oogie Boogie never leaves his home. Like, he doesn't actively do anything. The trick-or-treaters bring him stuff, but that's about it. He doesn't, like, manipulate anything. And I feel like between Oogie Boogie and the evil scientist, I feel like we have these two forces kind of trying to take over aspects of other people's lives. Because I feel like one of the things that we can do, since we have time for it, is talk about how Jack is the best Halloween scarer. He's kind of like the most powerful member of Halloween Town. And Oogie Boogie's number 2, and Oogie Boogie's always wanted to be number 1. And Jack is number 1 and doesn't want to be. And instead of, like, figuring out this way to, like, come together and work with each other, Jack goes off and does his own thing, and Oogie Boogie's like, no, I will usurp the Pumpkin King. Which is... And similarly, the evil scientist, who's trying to take control of Sally's life, I feel like should be sabotaging kind of other Jack efforts because Oogie Boogie has made promises or something. Like, Oogie Boogie has promised that he would supply the evil scientist with all sorts of little things and stuff for the evil scientist to do science with, and, like, subjects and other things.
Maybe they put him in his jail because he has a gambling problem. I think maybe, and the movie can't really expand on this. Because it's a kids' movie, but maybe it's a subtle way to hint on gambling addiction.
I mean, you don't think it's because he's been eating other members of Halloween Town?
I mean, that could be too.
Like, there's the unspoken rule that people in Halloween Town scare humans in the human world, but they don't scare each other. But Oogie Boogie will scare anyone anywhere without any regard to the rules. Like, he was going to eat Sally and Santa. Mm-hmm. That feels like it crosses a line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we can even give him another parallel as well, in that Jack's kind of trying to take over Christmas and trying to make it something he himself gets to enjoy. But I think Oogie Boogie can see that and be like, all right, Jack's taking over Christmas, but let's make all holidays Halloween. If we are doing Halloween all the time, we always get to be scary people like this. We get to live this all the time. And I feel like that can even be the message of, yeah, it might feel like it's fun to be, like, I know lots of people who'd be like, I wish it was Halloween all the time. But if it's Halloween all the time, then Halloween isn't special anymore. And I feel like that's kind of the message that we can then learn.
Yep, I agree.
Cool. That's kind of like, in terms of story, what I think. And then obviously, like, the things that we love about Nightmare Before Christmas need to stay. The songs need to stay. The Danny Elfman scoring and tracks and everything. And the different songs. Like, if anything, I just think we need more of it because we have, I mean, it's a 76-minute movie. Frankly, we have a whole nother hour to play with if we wanted to. Really 45 minutes if we're being cautious. But, like, and I think we can do that Oogie Boogie story and the scientist story and give Sally more to do. I think that, pun not intended, the most fleshed out story is Jack's. And I feel like Jack's arc, other than giving him this thing at the end where he can go be in Christmas Town, I feel like Jack's story can kind of stay how it is. It's just fleshing out the world around him. You know, really putting some skin on this skeleton. And I think that's kind of what we talked about.
Yeah.
Is there anything else either of you wanted to discuss in terms of, like, the story of the movie and what else we could do with it? Is there anything else or is there any other part of this movie that you're just like, I just want to talk about this part because it's great? Kim?
I mean, I just love the story as is because it's great. And, you know, the music all stays. It should all stay. And I agree, you know, with everything you guys are saying. You know, we just need to flesh out, you know, some other characters like Sally's, their background, their story, giving them something more to do, fleshing those out. And but other than that, I mean, it's just a great story and should stay the same. So,
all right, well then that's easy enough. Then let's talk about casting.
Ooh.
So for me, when I'm doing casting, because I cast a good chunk of these people, I did, because it's in my head the live action Disney remake, I did a mix of people who could really play these characters, and for like the trick-or-treaters, for example, I did kind of people who'd be fun to have kind of their voices running around, but then in the actual movie they'd still be like the little kids. We'll see how we feel about the different people that we pulled in, and then we'll go from there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So let's start, obviously, with Jack. And I can go first. For me, it was important that at least Jack and Sally, at the very least, and Oogie Boogie and everyone, like, some of these people need to be good singers.
Agreed.
So my casting for Jack is someone who we have seen sing. Like, he's been in the movie, for example, Sing. And he also played Elton John in Rocket Man. And he's also no stranger to like weird, creepy things because he's also was in the Dark Crystal show. And that's Taron Egerton. And I thought that other than the fact that his head is very square and Jack's head is very round, other than that, I think that he makes for a really good choice for our Jack Skellington. And so that was my pick.
Awesome.
Who did you have?
So for the tone of this, you guys have to keep in mind, I'm a little weird and kind of am straying away from Disney a little bit and keeping more with a Tim Burton. I was feeling more of a Tim Burton theme in the way that he did Sweeney Todd. The musical elements, kind of the darkness. And so that's kind of the tone in casting that I was going for. And similar to you, Sam, I picked singers. And for Jack, I chose this guy because we have seen him. We know he's a showman, like Jack. He showed his showmanship in Bohemian Rhapsody. I chose Rami Malek.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going with this. I thought you kept leaning on the word Jack because you were going to go with in showman, and he's just a really good Jack. So much so that he's Hugh Jackman. That's where I thought you were going. But
No.
Rami Malek is a better choice. Yeah. I like Rami Malek. That's great.
Yep. And Rami Malek, he kind of has his. Not only is he a good singer, and I think he could pull off the role, but looks wise, his face structure, I think, kind of maybe bony, his cheeks. And so I thought he would be great.
Ah, you're calling me on that square head versus round head thing.
So I didn't really think too much about the size or the shape of the head for Jack, but thinking on it now, yeah, I think the person I chose has a pretty round head, maybe more like an oval. So I also thought about who would be a great singer, a great dancer, and also had a good stage presence. So the person I chose was an actor named Colin Morgan. For those who don't know, he's a British actor. He's done a lot of BBC stuff, not as much American stuff, but he has done a lot of stage plays, and he was Merlin in the show, BBC show Merlin, and he was also in Humans. He has played a lot of leading man roles, and I think that he would be spectacular as Jack.
It's always tough when everyone brings in really good options, because I mean, I don't know Colin Merlin at all, but like just looking at the stuff he's done, and like obviously he's been in some cool things, and I don't think I've seen anything he's been in, but like obviously all this stuff is really good, and he's played interesting, cool characters. And for people who are fans of The Crown, he played John Armstrong in season 3, episode 4 of The Crown, and he's in The Fall and something called Quirk. He's in The Huntsman Winter's War, which I never saw, but I enjoyed the first one. It's stupid, but it's fun. Yeah, I don't know. We have 3 good ones, so I'm not going to force us to make a decision just yet. So we may see kind of like who blends in with our cast a little bit more. And also at the end of the day, we might just go with like, well, who hasn't gotten as many choices for everything else? So let's talk about Sally. I went first for that one. So Kim, why don't you tell us about your Sally?
Okay. So I, once again, had to choose a singer. Who could I... who's a singer who I could visualize singing Sally's Lament? And I was trying to think of singers that I liked, or have been singing recently. And I went to the cast of Hamilton. And my Sally is Philippa So. She played Eliza in Hamilton. And she kind of has, Sally, kind of innocent looking, a doll. And, Philippa Soo, she, kind of has that innocent look, can have a doll look. And she's a good singer, too. So I went with her.
That's a fun choice.
Yeah.
Bethany, who did you have?
So for Sally, I chose Kiernan Shipka from Sabrina, from Mad Men. She has sung on her show, Sabrina, and she's done some other solo work. And I know she has that very strong leading presence, very wise beyond her years, small, but packs a powerful punch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a lovely choice as well. So for me, I wanted someone who, obviously I picked someone who is able to sing as well. And I wanted someone who kind of like has done the live performance thing, kind of like what Kim was going for. And I also picked someone who kind of has a background in horror a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I wanted that like kind of aspect and pulling in a little bit of that. So this actress was in Hustlers, she was in Grease Live, and she was in Scream Queens. So my pick for Sally is an actress named Keke Palmer.
Okay.
And because at the end of the day, it's all sorts of like different kind of performances and everything, and I think that that's important. I think she's also in Aquila and the Bee and all of that. And as always, one of the things I'm trying to do on with casting for this is trying to make the cast a little bit less exclusively white.
Right.
And so I'm realizing that I did not do as good a job this time. So that might be why I fight for Keke Palmer, for Sally, more so than anyone else, just because I'm realizing that I think I cast exclusively other white people for the rest of my cast, which is not good. But that's why I thought Keke Palmer, because of Hustlers, because of Scream Queens, because she's a singer, and I just thought she'd be fun. So that's my pitch.
Yeah, I like that.
Would you both be okay with Keke Palmer?
Yeah.
Great. Then the next person I have on my list is the evil scientist. Bethany, your turn to go first.
For Dr. Finkelstein,
Is that his name?
I chose someone who I think, again, would have so much fun in this role. Someone who knows how to be super quirky and loves to delve deep into the really weird characters, and has like amazing hands, and is great in every character role that he plays. And I chose Jeff Goldblum. Because again, he really down to earth, but at the same time so like bizarre and so neurotic that it's amazing. So hilarious. I love it.
Cool. I think that's a great choice. My turn to go next. So then my thinking was, this was one of the ones where, because he's like in a chair the whole time, I went with a professional VO guy for this. I feel like he's done some other things too, but he's mostly known for like voices and like different things. Like in Spirited Away, he plays No Face, and because that's kind of like the rah, 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 bring me Zen, I want Zen. And he's also in Space Jam. He's in Duck Dodgers, and he's the only person in the entire world who can voice Porky Pig. And so that's why for this role I went with Bob Bergen.
Love it.
Kim, you're up.
Oh man, yeah. This is a hard person to cast because I don't know. Like, I don't get to see that many, creepy guys and creepy actors out there. I haven't watched a whole lot, so no one really came to my mind. But he is in a wheelchair. He's such a victim, and if anybody could play that, it would be William H. Macy, because he does such a good job playing Frank Gallagher on Shameless, who is such a victim. From his point of view, he's always a victim. So,
I mean, that's a fun choice as well. That's great. Oh gosh, I don't know. I think for this one, I would say let's go with Jeff Goldblum. The one thing I'm realizing that I should have done for this particular role is see if I can find an actor who actually is disabled and in a wheelchair, and I didn't think to do that, and I now kind of regret that. But in lieu of actually Googling it right now, I would say I would prefer to cast someone actually in a wheelchair. But failing that, I'd say let's go with Jeff Goldblum.
All right.
Yeah, just like that weird affect and just like a crazy, creepy scientist. That's my vote. Is that okay with you, Kim?
That's great.
All right, so let's talk about the mayor. So for the mayor, I'll go first for this one. I kind of wanted to have a third woman, because really the only women in this cast are Sally and one of the trick-or-treaters. I don't know which one. I don't remember. I think it's Shock. But and I just thought it'd be fun to kind of have like an SNL-style comedic actress kind of running around being sad, like alternatively sad and overwhelmingly happy. And I thought the right person for that role would be Molly Shannon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so that's kind of who I thought would be fun.
Giving a little bit of comic relief. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what the mayor's for. I can't make decisions. I'm an elected official, or whatever the line is. Good. Kim, you're up.
So, you guys are, you're gonna hate me for this one. I might get booed, but given the spirit of Tim Burton, I thought we would have to give this guy a little something. And I thought maybe the mayor role wouldn't be quite as big, but we gotta give him a little something. And he could just be the bumbling idiot mayor who can't make decisions by himself, like, help me, help me make this decision, and I'm hiding from actual responsibility. And Johnny Depp, just to give him a little something. In a Tim Burton.
You know that we're not going to give it to Johnny Depp, right?
I know.
Yeah, because he's not a good person, and I don't want him on the set.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate the effort. It would have been weird to have a Tim Burton conversation without bringing him up, but
I know.
No. Bethany?
The mayor, and again, wanted to go female with this and just to create more options for the cast. And I thought Melissa McCarthy would.
Ooh, nice. Very nice.
I also considered it.
Specifically, I thought of her in the role as the chef in Gilmore Girls. She's like very bubbly, the best friend, very outgoing, but has a little bit of that naivete going on. And so I thought that she would just be like she could play that super happy, yet super emotional switch of the mayor.
So then I love both of those. So then I think we will leave it up to Kim. Kim, between Molly Shannon and Melissa McCarthy, who would you like to see playing the mayor?
Ooh. I mean, I love both choices, but I want to go with Melissa McCarthy. But
Sure.
there are pros and cons to both. I feel like Melissa McCarthy might bring a little too over-the-top comedy. We don't need SNL type comedy for this. I don't know, but she would be great. I guess I would also need to see her, but she is also good at throwing a tantrum, like we've seen, like playing Sean Spicer. So she's also good at throwing a tantrum. So she can do both sides, like what we need for the mayor. Melissa McCarthy, I guess, would be a little more exciting for me. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go with the A-lister. That's fine. Kim does not want to give Molly Shannon work. I get it. It's fine. Melissa McCarthy it is for the mayor. Then the other three kind of like roles I have are the three trick-or-treaters, Oogie Boogie, and Santa. Did you both cast those roles as well, or is there anything you did not cast? Love it. Kim, do you have those roles also?
I have Boogie. I couldn't make decisions on Boogie's kids, but I do have my Boogie.
Okay, then let's talk about Oogie Boogie next, because that's something we all have. Kim, you're up.
Okay, so sticking with the Tim Burton tone, this guy was in Sweeney Todd, and he can sing and can play a villain. He did in Sweeney Todd, so and he's really weird and can be creepy. I'm going with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Bethany, who did you have?
For Oogie Boogie, I chose someone who not only has great showmanship, but also plays their own instruments, plays the flute, again, has that amazing presence. And I chose Lizzo.
Oh,
that's
nice.
a cool choice.
Nice.
I like that idea. Ooh.
because I wanted to go female with it. And I think that she would have a lot of fun in that role and bring a lot to that role.
I mean, it would certainly be a different take on Oogie Boogie.
Yeah, it would be different.
Yeah, I got nothing against it. I think that's a fun idea. My Oogie Boogie, I actually set up as a pair with my Santa because the two of them, like, I feel like the song could be more like I'm like the Oogie Boogie song is the best song, and I will fight people who say otherwise. But like I love the dynamic just between Oogie Boogie and Santa, and I feel like that's kind of like a fun pair. So for Oogie Boogie specifically, I wanted someone who can play kind of that villain and go kind of like that weird, creepy guy to also being kind of Centaurian and proper and everything. And they can go back and forth like all that style, but also having the comedic chops and kind of like the weird quirkiness and going all over the place. So my Oogie Boogie is Jack Black.
Okay.
Which is why my Santa is Kyle Gass, the other member of Tenacious D.
Okay.
And I thought that would be kind of like a fun, like, because we see Santa first before. Well, no, that's not true because Oogie Boogie's on the moon. So I guess we do see Oogie Boogie first. But that was kind of my idea of like, well, Kyle, like, and then just the two of them like jamming together and like, and then Jack Black eats Kyle. I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun. But God, that's tough. I'm tempted to make it Lizzo, but this was one where I was like, yeah, Jack Black would be a really good Oogie Boogie. Yeah, tell me who you had for Sandy Claus.
Sandy Claus, very important because, of course, if we're trying to see like who might match up with Oogie Boogie and the rest of the cast, I chose someone who, again, has a very strong, steady presence, very classical, but still knows how to play good character roles. And I chose Lawrence Fishburne. I can see him really like being a force of nature in this show and really like being that moral compass for Jack, for the rest of the characters of the show, and really like having a lot of fun with it.
Nice. I went with someone more classical and someone who could be a very respectable figure, grandfatherly, Patrick Stewart. Yep. So dress him up, put a fat suit on him. He has that wisdom,
Doing amazing things with technology these days.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lock, Shock, and Barrel. We'll come back to kind of like the main event. Kim, you do not have these three, correct?
I couldn't decide. I wanted to put myself in there.
Fair. Bethany, I kind of set these up as like a comedy trio that they definitely all know each other and are friends. And like they're all kind of like well-known comedians. What did you do for these three, Bethany?
For them, I decided the way I went with it is kind of these former child actors who were all either on Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, and yet at the same time they still had the experience. They've been on Broadway, so they have the experience of musicals, of being on the stage and dealing with those larger in life personalities. And even though, of course, they're not child actors anymore, they still like have that mischievous youth presence about them, and like they could really tear some shit up. And I went with Jordan Fisher as Locke, Elizabeth Gillis as Shock, and Ross Lynch as Beryl. Ross Lynch
Interesting.
being also on Sabrina right now. Elizabeth Gillis as one of the leads on Dynasty. And Jordan Fisher, he's done since his youth, he's done some indie films, music videos. So they're all great singers, actors, and dancers. And I think that especially for Lock, Shock, and Barrel, so important to have that triple threat, because I think you could do so much. There's like a lot of opportunity to mine more stuff for the kids and more of that like that improvisational give and take, but also have the singing and the dancing like down cold. So I thought that would be a lot of fun to have those.
Yeah, I leaned more into the less musical because I guess they sing a little bit in the movie. That's true, they sing.
They
but
have
I was
a
leaning more
great
into the
song,
kind of like the
Kidnap Mr. Santa Claus.
yeah. Kidnap Mr. Santa Claus, put him in a ditch. Yeah, you're right. But like I was leaning more into like the improv, like bouncing off each other, doing the comedies. And so my three are Ben Schwartz, who is in Parks and Rec and is the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Thomas Middleditch, who is Silicon Valley and just comedy. And Ben Schwartz and Thomas Middleditch have a really good comedy, set of 3 comedy specials on Netflix where they just like do hour-long improvs with each other, and it's great. And then the third person who would really fit in with that pair is Jenny Slate, because she'd be like, ugh, these idiots. Jenny Slate, who worked with Ben Schwartz on Parks and Rec. And so that's why I kind of thought they would be just like fun, goof around, tripling. So yeah, so once again, Kim, I'm going to give you complete carte blanche on this. You can go with all 3 of one of us, all 3 of the other us, or you can do a mix and match. Tell us who your 3 are going to be based on these 6.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll go ahead and say this. I do think that the ability for them to sing is important. So, and Bethany, you said the child stars, they have a little bit of experience singing. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Bethany's.
All right, then
singing.
Bethany, I'm going to need you to say the names again.
Jordan Fisher as Locke, Elizabeth Gillis as Shock, and Ross Lynch as Beryl.
Cool. Then that brings us back to Oogie Boogie and Santa. Our options, remind me, were mine was Jack Black, Kim, yours was
Sacha Baron Cohen,
and Bethany, yours was Lizzo. I kind of want to do the Jack Black Kyle Gass thing. Yeah, I'm going to fight for that a little bit just because I think that's going to be a goofy, fun time. But with that in mind, before we get to Short Witch and Tall Witch, I think that means that our Jack Skellington has to be Rami Malek.
Go with who you guys want as Jack Skellington.
No, well, Jack Skellington, all 3 of our options are excellent. And so Rami Malek has the round head. He's perfect.
Okay.
And he can sing. It's amazing. It, like I said, they're all excellent choices. And it's important that you were involved because you get to pick our Jack.
Yes.
And we haven't even gotten a writer and director yet. But now I want to hear about Short Witch and Tall Witch.
This I thought was just super fun to do, to think about, because I didn't really think about it this way until recently. But I would love to cast the Short Witch and the Tall Witch, right? Who are their own like side characters doing their own spiel. And so I wanted to cast Idina Menzel as Tall Witch and Kristen Chenoweth as Short Witch.
There you go.
that's pretty funny.
It's hilarious.
I love that. That's great. So does that mean that Short Witch and Tall Witch are going to get a solo or their own separate, I guess, a duo?
They would have
their own
to.
separate song?
Yeah.
Potentially in the mix.
Good.
Would they sing about defying gravity? Or because I knew you, I changed for the better?
I mean, I was kind of thinking they'd sing more a song about, like, brooms. cauldrons, you know, basic witch stuff. Great. Then that brings us to writer and director. I have a separate writer and a separate director. Do you both have the same?
Yes.
Or did you do a writer-director?
I chose to have a team that is both writer and director.
That's fine. So what we're going to do is Kim and I will go first for writer, and then Bethany, you'll tell us about your writer-director. Sound good? I can go first for this. No, you know what? I've gone first enough. Kim, you're up.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so for my writer, I'm sticking with that dark theme. And John Logan, he's the screenwriter for Sweeney Todd, the 2007 movie.
Got it. All right,
And
good choice. He also wrote Skyfall, and he's a writer on Penny Dreadful.
Yep. Yeah,
good. That is an excellent choice. My choice for writer is someone who has kind of done the Broadway to Hollywood adaptations. And so he's the writer behind Warhorse. He's the writer behind Billy Elliot. He's the writer behind Rocket Man. But that also means he's the writer behind Cats. Mm. But I specifically wanted that just because, like, we're taking this well-known musical and we're readapting it, and that's why I kind of wanted to go with someone who is capable of doing that sort of thing and has done it before, especially because we're dealing with songs and new songs and that sort of thing. And so my writer is named Lee Hall. Bethany, who is your writer-director?
It's a little bit out of the box, I know. So, but I thought still it would be nice to see, like, what they could do with this, because they are used to a lot of, like, kooky, crazy, weird shenanigans in their screenplays and in their films. And I think that since they've done both, like, horror kind of, as well as, in fact, have their own musical, one of their movies being a musical, I think they could create a lot of depth. And at the same time, I think that they still have a lot of experience to get this job done. And I chose the Coen brothers.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting choice. Yeah, that's fun.
I could get behind that.
Because my favorite Coen brother movie is a musical. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
There we go.
Because Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou was a perfect movie. That's fun. Let me tell you about my director. So because it's Nightmare Before Christmas, and we kind of need that whole stylized Tim Burton-y kind of thing, I wanted someone who can do the monsters, can do all of that sort of, like, fun stuff. And, like, this is a guy who does monster movies, you know, like Pacific Rim and the upcoming Pinocchio movie. And I felt like it kind of has to be Guillermo del Toro. Like, in terms of, like, matching Tim Burton, in terms of, like, heightened stylization, I did not know who else to go with. So that was my pitch for director. Kim, who's your director?
So I was thinking about who also has a similar style-ish to Tim Burton and kind of has experience with horror and really obscure projects. And that would be director Michael Lehman. He directed the movie Heathers and also a few episodes of American Horror Story. So he definitely has that weird, especially with Heathers, bringing about that weird Tim Burton-esque kind of feel.
That's an interesting pull as well. Yeah, especially because he did, like, American Horror Story and all that sort of stuff. What's he done recently? He doesn't have any films currently in production. That's unusual.
Well, this will be his new one.
Fun. I, again, don't know what to do. Kim, say the name of your writer again.
Oh, John Logan?
My temptation is to do John Logan, Guillermo del Toro.
Together? Okay.
But but I'm open to being talked out of it and being talked into the Coen brothers.
My only hesitation with the Coen brothers is, I mean, they would be great. I don't know how much horror experience they really have. That's not really their genre. I mean, they do weird. It's obscure, but can they get behind that horror element?
They've done Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which of course was amazing, and Fargo, and so many other films that really kind of show you the highs and lows that you can really like go at and achieve if you're really committed to the script. And I think that they would be super committed to the story and the narrative. And they've, as I've said before, they've done like gruesome, almost horror with Fargo, and they've done like larger than life comedy like Lady Killers, and a musical like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. That would be my choice.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah. I love Burn After Reading. I love Brother, Where Art Thou? And
but I think for something this artistically stylized as opposed to quirky stylized, I feel like I want to do John Logan and Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
So unless either of you have anything that... and obviously I want to bring Danny Elfman back for any new songs.
For the music.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else I'm missing? Are there anything else from either of your lists that we haven't covered?
No.
Okay. Then let me take you through the Disney live-action remake of A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Da-da-da.
Jack Skellington is going to be played by Rami Malek.
Yes.
Sally is going to be Keke Palmer. Yes. Evil scientist, whose name I've already forgotten, Bethany, is?
Dr. Finkelstein.
Thank you. Dr. Finkelstein is going to be Jeff Goldblum. Our mayor is Melissa McCarthy. Our trick-or-treaters are Jordan Fisher, Elizabeth Gillis, and Ross Lynch. Oogie Boogie is going to be Jack Black. Santa, Sandy Claus, will be Kyle Gass. Tall Witch will be Idina Menzel. And Short Witch will be Kristen Chenoweth. All of this will be written by John Logan and directed by Guillermo del Toro. That is Nightmare Before Christmas. Woo. We did it.
We did it. Oh.
Yeah. So thank you both so much for being guests. So now comes time for plugs. Talk about things that you want people to do. Do you have like social media things you want people to follow? Tell us about you or what you want people to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, Kim, Kim _Vruggink, VRUGGINK, on IG, Instagram. And that can also take you to my website. I want to be recording some projects, voiceover, audiobook stuff, so you can stay tuned for that and just, what I'm up to in general if you care at all.
Bethany?
So the most important thing I would love to plug is go out and vote.
Yes.
Yay! Do it now.
Absolutely.
Do it early so we don't have to worry about it. And we'll all breathe a sigh of relief along with you when you do it. Other than that, my Instagram is Bethany Koulias. That is BETHANYKOULIAS as in Sam. And the last thing I would love to mention is the Zoom film that I was recently in is called All Staff Meeting. It's on YouTube, and it was a YouTube Live, and it's been recorded, and it's there for all of your viewing pleasure. So go give it a watch. We hope that you like it. It is produced by Funny by Association. So if you go on the Funny by Association YouTube page, it'll be right there for you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful week, a wonderful month, and a wonderful Halloween.
If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Sam Gasch, SamGasch, or you can follow the podcast on Twitter or Instagram at Ideal Remake, or join us on Facebook at Ideal Remake or Ideal Remake Podcast. Because it's Halloween, if you want to leave us a nice treat, or really any treat, if there's a podcast you like, go on Apple Podcasts or any podcaster you listen to, and please leave a positive review and rate 5 stars. Even if it's not for us, it really helps any podcast that you listen to. I know that all podcasts talk about it, but it's true. It helps. And that would be a lovely treat that you could leave for all of us this Halloween. So yeah, So I'll end with this. Kim, Bethany, what is your favorite quote from the movie Nightmare Before Christmas?
Wow,
You stumped us, Sam.
Okay. No. I got one. Okay, cool. All right. So, since I am dead, I can take off my head to recite Shakespearean quotations.
Very on brand.
Yes.
Kim?
So I will go with, that's right. I am the Pumpkin King.